So Matt Piscatella usually posts a specific data set. It's a data set that shows the, top 15 or top 10 ranked games by total weekly active users for, specific weeks. The most recent one that I've seen was actually reposted by someone here on Twitter, and I thought it was very interesting to actually go ahead and, show you guys because it's actually very pertinent to, many discussions about video games. Already, we can just take a look to see the, versatility of different games across the three different platforms. You have Steam, you have Xbox, and you have PlayStation. Every single time, PlayStation is the one that fascinates me the most, but then at the same time doesn't surprise me at all. Because the conversation about games like Final Fantasy and its sales being quite low is also another one that comes up whenever we're talking about this. And I will come in and see PlayStation fanboys. I don't know what it is, but they'll start telling me that, Final Fantasy is not going to do well on Xbox because of A, B, C, D, E, F, G. When in reality, Final Fantasy did not meet its own goals on PlayStation. Now, again, we know that the PlayStation user base is already bigger than the user base on Xbox, no doubt about that. However, it's not rocket science to interpolate and say, perhaps Xbox would probably aid Final Fantasy in terms of the fact that if you make your game available on as many platforms as possible, you can get that game to sell. It doesn't matter if your game sells 1 million copies or 500,000 units. The best thing about sales is it sells. It's not something that a studio or a publisher like Square Enix should be bothered about, like, is our porting cost going to, even out the amount of money we're going to make from, Xbox? Of course it will. Porting is not necessarily so expensive, especially for, companies like these. And I think it really highlights this irony where, you're going to see comments like this on, videos that, talk about this stuff. Like this one here that says, the most ironic part is when Xbox fanboys legitimately believe that by putting the game on Xbox, it will boost the game sales by a lot. If they launch the game day one on Xbox and they launch the game on PC, of course it will, of course it will give the game sales. What manner of nonsense talk is this? Like, how many users do you really think are on Xbox? Like, really? I mean, as a PC player, I know for sure PC is going to sell more if it was there day one. I mean, PC carried Helldivers 2. Like, look at this chart. If you really want to talk about, say these PlayStation fans that come out here and want to throw shade, right? Come and look at your charts here and see where you can find Helldivers 2 on the PlayStation side. Y'all don't really play much of these games. I mean, let's kind of be honest. You claim and shout, PlayStation console sales, but PC is still carrying Helldivers 2 in the top 10. It's been there. Even the last data set that came out, Helldivers 2 was also on there. Don't see y'all playing Helldivers 2, and I'm sure Helldivers 2 could use, an Xbox community, which is a community that's much more dialed into the live service games, which is something that I've talked about, that as PlayStation is looking for live service money, one of the biggest challenges it's going to face is the fact that it needs to go ahead and dial deeply into exactly what the live service proposition should look like. If it doesn't have that, they're going to fail. There's no doubt about that they're not going to succeed in their live service offerings. I guess, as much as they may posture and make you think, oh yeah, we're going to be exclusive and all that, they're secretly going to launch one of them with Marathon. And then everyone's going to say, well, that's because Bungie doesn't have doesn't want exclusivity, but they know that they really strongly depend on that exclusivity because on that non-exclusivity, because if they don't, drop it in terms of, say, Marathon, that game is going to find it very difficult to thrive. And Bungie understands and knows this because Bungie has also leveraged, cross-platform, cross-play and all that in Destiny 2 and has seen how profitable it is because of double dipping. So again, the conversation has to be had. The facts have to be stated that the behavior of gamers largely favor these live service games. So if you are a third-party publisher or a publisher anyways, you really need multiple streams of income. And again, I think the irony for Final Fantasy is that they find themselves in a situation where they're, competing for time and they're competing for space, with freaking God of War Ragnarok, which is not easy to do. And even Ragnarok doesn't even have as much interest. And a lot of PC players right now are sitting playing some other titles that they feel are necessary for them to play. They're not really interested in a game that has made them wait. They'll be like, well, this game should be half off by now. That's now the thinking of a lot of people, especially in an economy like this. This is not 2020 when people were, blowing money on video games all over the place. This is a whole different paradigm if you were to ask me. So these are my thoughts. I want to go ahead and ensure that, we set the record straight, because again, if you don't point this stuff out, people on the internet are going to come in with, assessments that don't necessarily represent the reality. And I'm glad that these charts continue to come out, because again, if you even think about the whole thing, you can see even one single player game kind of crack its way into the weekly, user list in that regard. And I think that was Black Myth Wukong on the list. But again, it just really highlights, that there should be no, talk from the pot calling the kettle black about buying games in this regard. But anyways, I'm going to talk to you guys in another video. Thank you so much for watching. It's really interesting to actually assess these things. Peace out.